छाया आसमां में, देखो झूमता गगन, हे छाया आसमां में, देखो झूमता गगन, ज़मीन आसमां पूछ गया, झूमता गगन, आसमां मेरे झूम ले जहां, ये कैसा नशा प्यार का समा, रही समा झूमे आसमां, होश तो खोले प्यार तू ले ले संग मेरे झूम जा, कैसा नशा होश है कहाँ, होश तो खोले प्यार तू ले ले संग मेरे झूम जा.
Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to Wrestler Weekly Presents. I'm your host, Scottie Richardson, back for another week here in the Wrestler Weekly Man Cave Studios in Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm so glad that you have tuned in tonight because we got a great show for you. Last week, Dory Funk Jr., 2 weeks ago, Nick Bockwinkel. Before that, who do we have? Ric Flair. We've had Ricky Steamboat. We've had tag teams, Rock and Roll Express, Freebirds. Go back and check them out. This is season 5, and it's been a long haul here. You know, there was some confusion. I want to clear up some confusion. This is season 5, and we started in the summer of 2017. And so got a couple messages about, you know, how was that possible? That, you know, what did you do, double up it? Yeah, I actually did. We actually doubled up. Mike and I did a season where we had a lot of guests, and we had season 3. We kicked off with a bang with Bill Apter was our season premiere, and Austin Idol was the finale. So we've had some great guests. I mean, let's just run off some of the guests. If you have not, this is season 5. If you've not checked out all the Wrestler Weekly Presents, please go back and do that. Season 1, way back in the summer of 2017, it was all about the year. So I started in, I believe it was 1972. We went all the way to 1992. As far as every episode was a year. So, for instance, if it was 1983, that was an episode. So all the magazines that came out in 1983, that's what we went through. And so, and I say we because you got the Dr. Reggie Richardson, you got Mike Leotis, the Wrestler Weekly team that we have put together, and we format and program the shows well in advance just for you and your viewing pleasure. Season 2, that was a great season because it was territory time. What I did back then is every episode we talked about a territory. I grew up in the Mid-Atlantic Championship area, late 70s, early 80s. 1981, we took a trip from Lynchburg, Virginia and moved to Jacksonville, Florida, which is what I call home. My parents still live there. The good Dr. Reggie lives there. And so that was Championship Wrestling from Florida. That's right. I went from Bob Caudle, happy birthday, to Gordon Soley. And we just had an anniversary a few days ago of the passing of Gordon Soley. And so I was lucky and blessed. And then, as you can read in Family Bacon Wrestling on Amazon, whoop, not that. We're going to show you this later. This book, Family Bacon Wrestling, is on Amazon. You can check it out. It's my story. Being a fan, growing up, early Saturday morning, the whole family watched Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling. When you smelled the bacon, it was time for Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling. And then I tried to stay up later at night, past the news, to check out Rich Landrum and Turn Out the Lights, the party's over. Johnny Weaver, Worldwide Wrestling. If you remember Worldwide, man, that theme song, if you have not ever heard the original, not the WWE Network where they changed the music, but the original Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling theme song, the original Worldwide Wrestling theme song. I think George Benson may have done the original Mid-Atlantic. I believe that's right. And so just unbelievable. Takes you back. It's kind of like when you open up the middle of a comic book and you give it a whiff. If you've never done that, treat yourself. Pull out one from 1968 and it'll take you back to your childhood. And so, but you can read about it, 1982, 83-ish, Kevin Sullivan, the Satanic Family, the Army of Darkness. That's when my dad said, you know what, we're cutting it off. That and that magazine with Black Jack Mulligan, it's got the claw, Harley Race, blood everywhere. Those were the two combinations, the combustible combination, if you will. And my dad banned us. No wrestling. I thought threw away our wrestling magazines and programs and ticket stubs and T-shirts. No. He burned them in the backyard. That's right. Became real religious, the whole thing. You can read about it, Family Bacon Wrestling. Now, it was a chance meeting. Ric Flair in a Rose's department store, Raleigh, North Carolina, where we live now. And that's what got us back into wrestling. And my dad loves wrestling, DVRs it, watches it every week. And so here we are. You want to check that out, go to Amazon.com. Now, T-shirts, ProWrestlingTees.com. You can check out these T-shirts. You can also get the book T-shirt, established in 1972. Yours truly, Family Bacon Wrestling. Check it out. Ryan does a great job and the team up there. ProWrestlingTees.com in Chicago. Check that out. Where can you find us? Wrestler Weekly. We are all over the place. Our numbers are ticking up. We're well over almost 250,000 people every month on Twitter alone. That's right, at Wrestler Weekly. That's at Wrestler Weekly. You can see us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and then right here, our home for Wrestler Weekly Presents on YouTube. Articles, if you want to read some more of some things that I have put out, 720wrestling.com. Articles on David Von Erich, Ken Patera, Austin Idol, and a tremendous tag team, Ricky Steamboat and Jay Youngblood. All right, we've talked enough. It's time to jump into it. It's time to get into the Fab Five, the 5 magazines. It's season 5, and every week this season we're hitting you with 5 big-time magazines. But before we do that, I have got, last week was such a great episode. If you missed it, Dory Funk Jr., the whole show about Dory, last week, check that out. Going through some of my magazines, which are literally, I'm not going to show you, but literally there is stuff, piled up. I can't even hardly walk in here. I've got, just binders and bins and all kind of stuff just everywhere. And so trying to get organized in the man cave. Maybe you want to come over and help me out. That'd be fantastic. But going through that, digging around in here, trying to get organized, I found another Dory Funk Jr. program. Last week we looked at a lot of those programs, but this one is, and this is not one of my Fab Five, but this is just a bonus. We're going to call this the bonus from last week. This is Olympic Auditorium. Now, trivia. Give you a second. That's right, Olympic Auditorium. We're going out west. We're in California. Here we are. Phenomenal program. It's a little smaller in scale. So if this is kind of a magazine size, it's a little bit smaller, kind of a comic book size. I've actually got it in a comic book bag and board. But I'm going to pop this one open just to let you see the card that night. This is an original program, nice hard stock, card stock. This is tonight, NWA World Championship on the line. This is October 23rd of 1970, okay? And Dory Funk Jr., the champion, best 2 out of 3 falls, 1 hour time limit, sanctioned by the NWA. And guess who his opponent was? Classy Freddie Blassie. There is the card. You can see that. Phenomenal program. Billy Graham is on this card. Who else? Pedro Morales, Goliath, Black Gordman, Dale Lewis. So a lot of great things in this one. And there's the back if you want to check that out. I'm going to put that back in the bag and board while I am talking. But that's just a little bonus program for you that I came across. Tonight, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, it's all about the NWA. The next couple of weeks is going to be about the NWA. NWA, I grew up there, whether it was Mid-Atlantic, whether it was Florida. Every so often, if we were visiting family and they had cable, you know, we would check out Georgia Championship Wrestling. I remember as a kid, I wrote about in the book, the feud between Tommy Wildfire Rich and Ted DiBiase. That was a big one that I remember as a kid being able to see and kind of just fascinated with another territory. But it was all about the wrestling magazines for us. I mean, we learned about other territories through the wrestling magazines. And so, NWA, I'm going to spotlight 5. And this is an NWA program. This is, I'm going to show you this. This is not one of the 5, by the way. I keep teasing the 5, and we're not there yet. We're about 11 minutes in. I don't think you mind though. But I want to show you, this is a rare program. And I am big on rare, number 1, and I'm big on programs, number 2. So this is the cover. I don't know if I've shown this one on an episode or not, but this is Championship Wrestling, NWA. A buddy of mine, Bobby Norton, we have figured out that this is probably was produced in Florida. It has all the makings of a Grapevine program, which was the wrestling program put out by Jerry Prater. And I'm going to go through this one. There's only a few pages. It says Championship Wrestling proudly presents professional wrestling at its best. Now I think I've just solved the mystery, because Championship Wrestling was Championship Wrestling from Florida, and so Grapevine, same type of cover. If you've got the Super Bowl of Wrestling 1978 program, this is kind of similar background. This has Dick Murdoch, former international champ, number 1 contender for the world title. Nice photo of Dick Murdoch. This is really why this was put on eBay a few years ago, and I immediately reached out and said, look, I will buy it, name your price, let's do it, let's get it done. And we did it because of this photo. As a kid, Mid-Atlantic, the red leather belt, you know, you guys that follow us at Wrestle Weekly, you know that's my favorite belt. And when you got Blackjack Mulligan wearing it, it doesn't get much better than that. So I had to really get this one. And got it at a great price. Miss Joyce Grable is in here. Harley Race is in here. And I think I have shown this, maybe last season I showed this. And then Ted DiBiase on the back. Great photo. International Heavyweight Champion Ted DiBiase. This would look good signed. But this is a really nice NWA. It's NWA night. NWA program. Wanted to just show you. These are a couple things that I found just kind of digging through, getting organized. Thought you may want to check that out. Thought you may want to see it. All right, what do we got? We have got, make sure I've got the number right. All right, so this is 5. Number 1, I kind of slipped. I'm going to throw it up there again. But this is the Great Luthez. This is the Golden Book, a very rare program, magazine. Came out of this is produced in Canada. A former professional wrestler, turned photographer, put this book out. It's pretty thick. It's pretty heavy. It's a thick magazine. I'm not going to pull it out because it's really tight in there, and it took me a little bit to get it in there really nice. But if you come across this, pick it up. The Golden Book of the Century came out in 1965. Lou Thesz on the cover, wearing a belt. That spells you better get it. All right, so any belt cover, you know, I'm all in on that. And Bill Pavlik and I, he knows how rare this is, and so just a fantastic book. It's one of his favorites, and now one of mine. So here we go. The next four. This one came out December of 1963. It's a Wrestling World, and I only have the cover. I got a collection from a guy who was a big Buddy Rogers fan, and he had a lot of clippings. So the next four magazines is I'm going to focus on the Nature Boy, Buddy Rogers. My brother, the doctor, Dr. Reggie, Buddy Rogers is his #1 wrestler. A great friend of mine that I speak with every single day, the Universal Heartthrob, Austin Idol. His #1 influence, he told me, that's right, Nature Boy Buddy Rogers. Austin said he used to study film. He would get the reel-to-reel, and he would study the clips, the psychology, the mannerisms, the strut, the way that he handled himself as a heel. One of those things that it's really an art form to do so. But this one comes Wrestling World. This is just the cover. Again, I got this from a collection, and so I just want to show you tonight. A very good shot. Nature Boy Buddy Rogers. This guy started his career in 1939. Did you know that? 1939. It picked up the name. You know, before the Nature Boy. Do you know this? He was nicknamed the Nature Guy. The Nature Guy. What if Ric Flair was the Nature Guy? Buddy Landell, the Nature Guy. Well, Buddy Rogers was the Nature Guy, and then somewhere early 50s changed to the Nature Boy. And just tremendous. I mean, what do you say about a star? I mean, what do you say about a guy that is arguably the greatest wrestler of all time? When you put a mic in his hands, the suit, and you look at all of the wrestlers that he influenced. I mean, let's just take a step back. I know that Lou Thesz did a lot of great things in the ring. I can't say you know, more than what everyone has said. Lou Thesz, you know, he's on the pillars, right? He's one of the top guys when you talk about your Mount Rushmore and those kinds of things. Lou Thesz is in that conversation. Well, Nature Boy Buddy Rogers is in that conversation. And in 1961, remember, he started his career in 1939. He's a little bit older now. 1961, the NWA, he wins the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, Tri-State Wrestling Program here. And a lot of people don't know this, but Buddy Rogers actually, before he became the NWA World Champion, he defeated Lou Thesz for a Texas title. So they had a little bit of history before then. But here he is, 1961, becomes the NWA World Heavyweight Champion and has that belt. And you know the controversy, you know what happened. You know, he leaves stripped, all those things, and now he is with Vince McMahon Sr. That's right, Vince McMahon Sr. 1963, he becomes the very first WWWF, Worldwide Wrestling Federation, World's Heavyweight Champion, Bill Pavlik. And there it is, the World Champion, and he is the first guy to hold the NWA World title and the WWF World title. There it is, side by side. This will look good framed. And do you know the only two other wrestlers to hold the World Wrestling Federation or the World Wrestling Entertainment, the WWE, the McMahon clan titles with the NWA, Nature Boy Buddy Rogers, Nature Boy Ric Flair, and AJ Styles. That's right, AJ Styles, Ric Flair, Buddy Rogers, probably three of my four Mount Rushmore, probably. I mean, I haven't really dug around to figure that out lately. I keep a little bit of a log in my phone on my notes, and I change it quite often. But, you know, AJ Styles, my favorite wrestler right now. Ric Flair, my all-time favorite wrestler. Nature Boy Buddy Rogers, the guy who started it all. I mean, when you look at influential guys, Ric Flair, Buddy Landell, Austin Idol. I mean, I would even throw Nick Bockwinkel in there. The suits, the mic, all those things. Buddy Rogers was doing those things in the 50s. He started his career in 1939. By 61, he's a world champion. 63, he's another world champion. And then his health started to decline. Had a mild heart attack, you know the story. And Vince Sr. starts panicking. Oh my goodness, we just put the belt on this guy. In April of 63, by the way. And a couple weeks later, he has a heart attack. And so it's like, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? So that's right. In May, it was a quick. We got to get Bruno. Bruno's ready. Let's get Bruno Sammartino. Let's get him in there. We'll make the match one fall instead of 2 out of 3, just in case Buddy Rogers tries to screw us, right? And then what happened? 48 seconds later. That's right. 48 seconds later, May 1963, Bruno Sammartino becomes the world champion, the WWF champion, and goes on that long run that he had until Ivan Koloff. So the last mag I want to show you, and this I'll tell you, and I don't know if I'm spilling the beans here. Maybe I'm not supposed to announce this. I don't know. Maybe, if so, I'll get in trouble. But there's a book coming out. I don't know how much liberty I'm supposed to say here. It's not my book, but it is a friend of mine. He's writing a book. And when it comes out, I'm just going to keep it generic. When it comes out, my magazine is going to be in the book. This actual magazine photo is going to be in the book. It's a real honor. The writer reached out to me and asked me if I would mind. And so this is one of the greatest magazines in the history of wrestling magazines. If you are a wrestling magazine collector and you do not own this magazine, everything in your watch list doesn't matter. Everything in your collection doesn't matter. I don't care how rare it is. You've got to have a copy of what I'm about to show you in your collection. TV wrestling. You've seen the ads in the magazines for years. Make sure you have a copy. But this is mine. It's a really good copy. Nature Boy Buddy Rogers. I don't know if you can see that with the glare on the bag and board. So I'll move around a little bit. But just beautiful. I mean, this is quintessential professional wrestling. This is it, man. This is it. Nature Boy Buddy Rogers. The cover, the NWA World's title around the waist, the physique, the hair, the pose, the look, the mannerisms, the strut, the bravado, the cockiness, the ego, I'm better than you, all those things that you hear wrestlers say for the last 30 years, right? This guy was doing it way before everyone else. I know that you have got Gorgeous George and all that, but this guy took it to the next level. With the advent of television, he was the guy. When cable happened, Tommy Wildfire Rich blew up, all those things, Nature Boy, Ric Flair, 605, all those things, this guy did it first. 1979, he comes out of retirement to become a manager. Mid-Atlantic boy. Here's Nature Boy Buddy Rogers. All I've been reading about in the magazines. He's a god. And here he is, He's a heel manager, and what a stable. Jimmy Superfly Snuka, the Crippler Ray Stevens, Gene Anderson. I mean, he had a stable. Big John Studd. All those guys in that stable. And then he went on to the WWF. Remember, he had Victory Corner, which preceded Piper's Pit. He actually managed Jimmy Snuka, turned him babyface, if you remember that, back in those days. And so this guy had a little run there, and then he had an accident, broke his hip, had to retire. And then all of a sudden, I'm in Florida, I'm in Jacksonville, and just about that time, a newspaper article hits on a Sunday. Nature Boy Buddy Rogers is going to wrestle Nature Boy Buddy Landell. Are you kidding me? The two Nature Boys. And by the way, late 70s, it was this guy that put over Ric Flair. They had the feud, the Battle of the Nature Boys, wrestled all over the place. You can go to MidAtlanticGateway.com and check out those stories. But unbelievable guy here, and unfortunately the match was set. Nature Boy Buddy Rogers, Nature Boy Buddy Landell, and unfortunately he had a stroke and ended up passing away just about a month or so after booking that match. I did talk to Nature Boy Buddy Landell about that, and I tell you, a real honor, I talk about it in my book, a real honor was I still had the original paper clippings about the preview of that match from the early 90s. I showed Buddy Landell, and this is no lie, he started to tear up because he was so, that was his idol. They were going to have this match, and he passed away. And instead of having Buddy Landell sign that paper clipping, I actually gave it to him. And he hugged me. My cousin, TR Superstar, Tony Richardson, retired wrestler now, they were very good friends. We got to hang out. You can read more about that, more details in my book, Family Bacon Wrestling. That's on Amazon. ProWrestlingTees.com. Check us out for t-shirts. All right, let's do a couple package breaks, and then we'll get out of here. I got my scissors. Don't forget, I'm a collector. Could be anything. Could be comics. Could be sports cards. It could be no telling, man, no telling. Let's see, boxing, horse racing. I've got everything on the wall here. Yankees in that corner, Celtics, Clemson football, North Carolina basketball, all the wrestling behind. I've got posters of the Joker, a movie, Venom. On this wall, I've got a fantastic painting of Randy Rhoads. I'm a big rock guy, big mafia guy. I got Goodfellas and Sopranos and Godfather. I got my Welcome Back Kotter stuff over there. I should just set up some tours. Okay, this is not wrestling, but I'll keep opening packages till we get to something. But this is Derek Jeter. I'm a big Yankees fan, and my dog's named Jeter. But this is an all-star card I picked up of Derek Jeter. So if you're a collector, maybe you'll appreciate that. If not, we will go to the next thing and see if this is wrestling. How about that? This comes from Bridger, Montana. Wow, Montana all the way to North Carolina. Let's see, is it wrestling? What is this? Oh my goodness, it's not wrestling, but we'll keep opening until we hit wrestling. This is a great magazine. This thing is from 1957. It's boxing with Rocky Marciano. Rocky Marciano. Undefeated. Some say the greatest. Rocky Marciano. All right. Please handle with care. Thank you. Be blessed. I think I know who this is from. Let's see what we got here. This is coming from Pennsylvania. Now, I'm going to show you this. And I was going to save this for a later date, but I'm going to show you now. And I'll tell you why I got this. This comes from the magazine called Popular Wrestling. It is from November of 1976. It is signed by Johnny Rods. But the reason I got it is because November of 1976, this is the first wrestling magazine picturing Ric Flair on the cover and signed. Check this out. 1976, the first magazine with Ric Flair on the cover, and it's autographed. So unbelievable. I'm glad I've got it. Certificate of authenticity to prove it. And unbelievable, man. Ric Flair, I'm the greatest, and look how they spelled Rick, R-I-C-K. So fitting. It's fitting. It's fitting. Talk about Nature Boy Buddy Rogers. And we end the night, the hot mag of the night. Ric Flair, first magazine cover ever, signed. Fans, thanks for being with me again for another episode of Wrestler Weekly Presents. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at Wrestler Weekly. We love you, all of our friends and fans and followers. For Mike, for Dr. Reggie, until next time, fans, so long for now.
Somebody say something about Tommy Wildfire Rich coming to you live in Myrtle Beach. The waves are gusting and the breezes are blowing. Lord have mercy. Wrestler Weekly. Y'all better check this stuff out.